this quantum dot, what happens is when a single photon is impinging on the quantum dot, not a single exciton is created. 2 or 3 or more than that. Even there is a case where 7 excitons are created per a single photon. So that is the amazing quality of this quantum dot solar cell. That means you can have more power for every photon. So that means this quantum dot solar cells can produce more amount of electrical power using a small amount of solar radiation. So that is why scientist fraternity is focusing much of its attention on fabrication of these quantum dot based solar cells. And again, so these are the solar panels that have been fabricated using quantum dot solar cells, and this is the mechanism that tells you how the photon is absorbed here in a quantum dot and how the electrons are excited to higher energy levels and how exciton pairs are created and how these are directed towards metal electrodes. Again, you can see here layered structure. There is a glass substrate here. Some light is there that is impinging on the glass substrate. You can see a quantum dot based film here, and some metal oxide is there. Some electrodes you can also see. And here, students, the next emerging technology solar cells is polar based solar cells, polymer based. So this is a polymer, or this is also called as organic material based solar cells. Polymer is nothing but organic materials. Now here what happens is that a polymers are taken, most probably conjugate or conducting polymers are taken here, and they are used as substrates, and conjugate polymers are used here, and the substrate here is a polymer. Most probably for example, if you see P3HT a very good polymer which has been proved to be having good conducting qualities, and these polymer based solar cells also exploit the photovoltaic effect, which is nothing but production of the electric voltage in response to photons. And these polymer based solar cells are also composed of various functional layers, and these functional layers are coated on the polymer substrate. As I said, it is polymer foil or polymer ribbon. Now again, this slide shows you again various layers here. You can see here a polymer 1 here, there is a interlayer, polymer 2 here, and metal contacts are also there. Zinc oxide layer deposition is there. So glass or ITO deposition layer is also deposited here, and you can see here the deposition of various layers and their structure. And what happens here is that one layer acts as a p-type semiconductor, and here generally what happens is there are various two structures called, one is acceptor, second is the donor. One layer acts as acceptor of charge carriers, another layer acts as donor of charge carriers. So thus this combination, acceptor and donor combination, helps you absorb more and more light energy and helps in production of electrical power. The application of these polymer based solar cells includes in textiles and fabrics, and this is the machine which we call as spin coater machine, which is used in the deposition of various polymer layers on the surface of the substrate, and these are the polymer based solar cells, and these have been fabricated in a clean room at Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore. And this is a schematic diagram of a P3HT PCBM solar cell. You can see here an ITO is there, indium titanium oxide layer is there, PEDOT PSS layer is there, and this is P3HT, which is a polymer here, and you can see here metal contacts, aluminum metal contact has been used here, and this is still a device. As I said, it is spin coater device, and this is this structure again. This is glass substrate here, this is ITO, this is zinc oxide layer, PCBM is here the fullerene. It is also called as buckyball here, and this is P3HT is our polymer here. PEDOT PSS layer is also deposited, and this is a metal, aluminum is the metal contact, and this is these are the two electrodes, anode and cathode here, and this is the buckyball structure you can see here. This is the structure of the P3HT, and these are the polymers. This is the structure of the PEDOT PSS, which widely used in the design of polymer solar cells. And another important solar cell, third generation solar cell, is dye-sensitized solar cells, in which dyes are used as sensitizing materials for capturing the solar radiation. You can see here in this diagram, you can see in this picture, you can see here, this is the solar radiation. You can see here a dye sensitizer here, a redox mediator also is there here. You can see two electrodes here, transparent electrode, and second one is the counter electrode is there. What happens is that, and you can also see here N-type titanium dioxide and P-type nickel oxide here. See, these are the four parts. One is semiconductor electrolyte. So the important thing is electrolyte here. So it acts as N-type titanium dioxide and P-type nickel oxide. And these four parts, including semiconductor electrolyte, dye sensitizer, redox mediator, and counter electrode, they form very important part of this dye sensitized solar cells. And here these dye sensitized solar cells employ dye molecules that are placed between the two electrodes. As I said, the two electrodes are there. One is the counter electrode, second one is transparent electrode. And these solar cells are very highly flexible, they are very much transparent, and the important advantage of this DSS is their low cost. And nowadays novel dye sensitized solar cells are being fabricated, in which along with visible optical active dye, a coating of nano-grained titanium oxide layer is also deposited on the surface. This helps achieve efficiencies as much as 10%. That is the advantage of this dye sensitized solar cells, but there is also a disadvantage. These DSSC solar cells have very poor stability because they may get degraded in due course of time, because the dye molecules are very much prone to degradation over the period of time. So that is the major disadvantage. The last and the most important and the most amazing solar cell technology, which is very promising and also which is now being paid attention by all the scientist fraternity, is concentrated solar cell technology, in which, as the heading suggests, this total solar radiation from the sun is concentrated with the help of optical principles onto the solar cell. This is normal solar cell here, and using optical principles, that solar radiation is collected and that is allowed to be concentrated, to be focused on a small place where the solar cell is placed. That is the main advantage of this solar cell. Automatically what happens, more amount of solar absorption can be collected and focused onto solar cell. Automatically much light is absorbed. So this helps in production of lot of amount of electrical power. So this technology is now on the developing stage. Widely it is being developed in Australia. So sunlight rays focus on a small region where the solar cell is placed here. The converging of the sunlight radiations produces huge amounts of heat energy, and that heat energy can be utilized and is converted into electrical power. And this is again the structure of solar radiation solar cell that is used in fabricating concentrated solar cells. So much of the collected solar radiation is allowed to be incident on this structure. So you can imagine here the advantage of this solar cell. You can see here the efficiency is as much as 40%, it may be above 40% also. So that is the amazing nature of these concentrated solar cells. These solar cells fabrication technology is almost on the developing stage. Scientists are focusing their attention on developing these concentrated solar cells. So the heat energy thus developed may be useful for generating power. And this is, you see the collection of the solar radiation, driving that collected solar radiation into a solar cell, and using metal contacts you can drive that electrical power to external circuit. And another important solar cell fabrication technology is perovskite solar cells. Perovskite is nothing but a compound, another compound where its chemical formula is AbX3, where A and B are cations and X is a halide. It may be bromium, it may be iodine, or it may be chlorine. And these perovskite based solar cells can produce efficiencies up to 31%. So these are the various layers here. You can see here a substrate here. You can see ETM. ETM stands for electron transporting material. Similarly, hole transport material is also there. Back contact is there. Similarly, front contact is also there. This structure helps in absorption of more amount of solar radiation and separation of the cells, charge carriers, and production of the cells. So this is again the thing. So this is again fabrication here. So finally, all these fabrication technologies have wide variety of applications. You can see here the solar energy reaped from various solar cells can be utilized domestically here for various purposes, for lighting your lights, for lighting your house, for TV here, for charging your mobile phone, charging your laptops here. Similarly, automotive, in the automobile sector also you can make use of this solar energy here. This shows how the mobile phones are getting charged using solar cells here. And street lighting, you can also municipal authorities, similarly civilian authorities can also use this solar cells for lighting streets. Similarly, this is an automobile, this is a solar powered car here. And the important thing is solar energy is used, it is very much useful in space where satellites can absorb solar energy and function for their various optical as well as electrical needs can be met using this solar energy. And you can see here domestic purpose. And this is a house in the Mongolia where this solar, they don't have access to electrical power. So there they have installed a solar panel here and it is producing electrical power, and they are making use of that electrical power for meeting their needs. And this is, as we all know, a typical solar power plant. You can see here various modules here interconnected that produces a 1 megawatt or 2 megawatt or 3 megawatt that can satisfy the power needs of the globe. So this is the bibliography. This is the various research papers from where I have collected this data and various websites also. Thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I profusely thank Commissioner of College Education, authorities, SAPNET authorities, and staff and students of the college where I am working, SS Government Degree College Narayanpuram, and especially the Center for Nanoscience and Engineering of Indian Institute of Science and Technology, where I was trained up in manufacturing these solar cells. Thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Good afternoon, welcome to today's session. This is brought to you by AP State Skill Development Corporation, and we are conducting this program especially for the employability skill centers. There's already a classroom session which has already started in various districts in AP, and we are also combining the blended training methodology which is online. You're watching this live on Mana TV as well as the YouTube channel of Mana TV. Alright, so let's begin. So in the last session we spoke about the consonant sounds. I explained to you sounds in English language since we are speaking about oral communication. I explained how we have 26 letters in English alphabet system. There are 21 consonants and 5 vowels, but we have 24 consonant sounds and 15 vowel sounds. So 26 letters that you see, those are mere letters, but here we are talking about sounds. So we have 24 consonant sounds compared to 21 consonants and 15 vowel sounds compared to 5 vowels. So vowel sounds or consonant sounds are different from a consonant or a vowel. Okay, I explained to you the 24 consonant sounds. I showed you the list as well as the example. I just want to take you through a quick recap to explain this again. So we have p, b, t, d, k, g, ch, j, th, th, s, z, sh, zh, f, v, w, h, r, y, l, m, n, and ng. So that's 24. I showed you examples of the 24 consonant sounds. So we have p sound, for example, pot, topple, top, b sound, bat, bubble, cab, t sound, table, bitter, pot, d sound, desk, advise, loud, k, kite, disclose, mask, goat, that's g sound, goat, magnify, big, ch, chain, discharge, march, j, joint, budget, charge, th, think, breathless, bath, the, this, rhythm, breathe, seal, mistake, miss, zoo, disown, breeze, shallow, location, brush, j sound, pleasure, beige, fun, often, tough, victory, level, brave, w sound, window, water or swift, hollow, adhere, r, for example, ring, market, charter, yard, mayor, toy, listen, island, bottle, money, homework, groom, number, hunter, listen, ng or the ing sound, English, ringing, ring. So these are the examples which I showed you. Now the confusion happens between the consonant and the consonant sound. I'm just going to give you certain examples. For example, if you see the letter P, this is actually a p sound. For example, print. Now the letter P signifies p sound, but not always. For example, if I have the word which is photon, now here the letter P needs to be combined with H and it becomes an F, the first sound. For example, if I have the word photograph, again I have first sound. So just because I have the letter P doesn't mean I can pronounce this as per always. Alright, I also gave you example of ch sound. For example, change. But when I have the word chemistry, ch becomes k sound. So I say chemistry, I say chrome, so I do not really, or chromium, I do not say chromium or chrome or chemistry. Okay. Likewise, there are tons of such examples. The sounds that you see here, these are mere sounds, so don't look at it as a letter. For example, sir. Now, I can have a sound which is, or I can have a word where sir is used as a sir sound, s is used as a sir sound. For example, solution. Alright? But if I have a word which is island, I don't pronounce this as Island. So S is silent here. Okay? For example, if I have a word which is pressure, just because I have two S, I can't say press sir. I can't say press sir. So here double S will become sh sound. So I say pressure. Alright? So you need to be very careful how to differentiate between a consonant and consonant sound. Every word that you pronounce will have a consonant sound, not mandatorily. There are certain words, there are no consonant sounds at all. There is just vowel sound. For example, I, first person I. I don't have any consonant sound there, right? So a letter is a consonant, but a sound is a consonant sound, so there is a big difference. So any word that you pronounce, if the consonant sound is not fitting properly, that means you are making a mistake. Now, what are the common mistakes that we end up doing? We do a sound shift. So instead of using a particular consonant sound, we make a mistake and use a different consonant sound. These are the common mistakes or common problems that we face. We do a shift between per and fur, ver and were, s, z, s, sh, j, z. So we interchange this. So let me copy this and I will tell you what do I mean by this. I'm going to show you some examples. Okay. All right, let's begin. For example, if I have the word which is print, lot of people pronounce this as frint. So that is where the mistake happens. Okay. There are some people who cannot pronounce the per sound, they replace that with the fur sound. For example, if I have a word which is face, they replace that and say pace. Now face is different, pace is different. Pace means speed, velocity. Face means what you see in a person. So when you make this mistake, it leads to change in meaning as well. Okay. Next, I have the word which is victory. They pronounce this as victory. Now remember what I said. If you have the letter V, you need to bite your lower lip. It's victory. And if it's W, you need to make a O out of your lips. So you say victory. No, it's not victory, it's victory. If I have the word water, then I say water. If I say the word vase, flower vase or flower vase, I say vase. If I use the name William, so I make a O out of my lips, I say William. Winter. So it's winter, it's not winter. Okay. Let's move on. Sir problem. So I have a word which is seal, and they replace that with zeal, z sound. For example, if I have the word listen, they pronounce this as listen. It's not listen, it's listen. And the mistake also happens the other way around. For example, z and j is a problem. For example, if I have the word zone, they pronounce this as Joan. If I have the word which is page, they pronounce this as pays. It's not pays, it's page. Such a problem. Now this happens because of regional influence again. For example, send, and they pronounce this. So if you make a mistake, you will end up pronouncing this as shend, shend it. It's not shend, it's send. So these are the common issues that we face in terms of pronunciation. So the best way to learn pronunciation is to pick up words and then break them into consonant sounds. I will tell you how to do that. Now let's read these words for understanding the pronunciation. I'm going to pronounce the word, and if you're watching this on YouTube or Mana TV, doesn't really matter. I want you to repeat after me. And let's be honest, I can't see you, but I want you to put the effort and pronounce it. Let's start. Tariff, dislocate. Now before I pronounce, let's do this. I'm going to pause here for a minute so that you can make a note of all these words. If you're watching it on YouTube in your system, you can either take a picture or you can take a screenshot. If you're watching it on television, please make a note of it. If you write this down on your notebook, it will be easier for you to remember. All right, let's start. Tariff, dislocate, possibilities, leverage, discrimination, environment. It's not environment. Please stop saying environment. It's environment. The next is government. It's not government. Don't say government. It is government. Plurality, determination, derivatives, apartment, disagreement, dislodge. C-O-U-P is coup. It's not coop or coup, it's coup. Isolation, quarantine, gesture. A lot of people pronounce this as gesture. It's not gesture just because the letter G is there. It is gesture. Against. Don't pronounce this as against. It's against. Abbreviation, annihilation. I'm going to repeat the words: tariff, dislocate, possibilities, leverage, discrimination, environment, government, plurality, determination, derivatives, apartment, disagreement, dislodge, coup, isolation, quarantine, gesture, against, abbreviation, annihilation. Some more words for you. Distance, extra. A lot of people mispronounce this word extra. They say extra. It's not extra. So let me break down some of the words to make it simple, to make you understand how to pronounce it. All right? So this is the word. If I have to break it for your quick understanding, it's extra. It's extra. Now what mistake people do is they pronounce this as ekestra. So this is wrong. It's not ekestra, it's extra. All right? Environment. Environment. So this is the correct pronunciation. Environment. And the mistake that you end up doing is you end up pronouncing environment. Now this is wrong. It's not environment, it is environment. So please make sure you're pronouncing it correctly. Another word, against. Now how do I pronounce this? Against. Now the mistake that you end up doing is you end up pronouncing this as against. It's not against, it's against. Government. How do I pronounce this? It's government. And you pronounce this when you make a mistake as government. So don't say it's government, it's government. Environment, against, extra. All right, let's go. Training, paper, popular, significance, domain, competency, competition, repetition, loyalty, strange, dominant, vibrancy, chronological, pictorial, confirmation, technology, accrual, gratuity. It's not gratuity, it's gratuity. All right? So when you have all the consonant sounds in front of you, please write these sounds in Telugu right next to it so that you can understand. So I'm going to repeat these sounds so that you can make a note of it. The first one is per. So you can write it in Telugu so that you can understand. Per, b, t, d, k, g, ch, j, th, the, s, z, sh, zh, f, v, w, h, r, y, l, m, n, ng. Okay? So if you're watching it live, if you felt that I'm too fast, go back to YouTube, replay this video and write it down. And the next slide, you will have the examples. So these are the entire list of consonant sounds. Now what we're going to do is we're going to read a particular passage to make sure that we are understanding it right, and we'll pick certain words from the passage and we'll have a quick reading exercise. So let me look up something which is relevant for all of you. Okay, the internet doesn't seem to be working, so let me look up something from my database here. Alright, here we go. Let's start. Laws of nature are not commands but statements of acts. The use of the word law in this context, it's not context. So don't make a mistake there. It's not context, it's context. The use of the word law in this context is rather unfortunate. It would be better to speak of uniformities in nature. This would do away with the elementary fallacy. What do you mean by this fallacy? Now I can give you the meaning immediately, but I want you to look it up in dictionary.com or a dictionary book. So please put the effort of learning these words, vocabulary, so that you can use these words later. And how it's pronounced? Fallacy. F-A-L-L-A-C-Y. This would do away with the elementary fallacy that a law implies a lawgiver. If a piece of matter does not obey a law of nature, it is punished. On the contrary, we say that the law has been incorrectly stated. Alright? When you have a passage to read slow and try to pronounce the word properly so that you understand. Passage number 2, this is reading practice. At this stage of civilization, when many nations are brought into close and vital contacts for good and evil, it is essential. Now you see this word, it's not essential, it's essential. So instead of s sound, we have a z sound here. It is essential as never before that their gross ignorance, it's not gross. When you have this word, so let me quickly show you an important aspect which you need to know. I have a word which is gross. Now this word can be pronounced in two ways. First one, gr o s. I can say gross or I can say gr o s. Okay, this is your word and this is the pronunciation. Clear? Now pay attention what I am doing. This is very important for you to understand the importance of it. Okay. Now if I am pronouncing this as gross, it means it's dirty or vulgar. Okay. If I say gross, that means it's a total before net. For example, you are earning, say for example you are working somewhere and you are earning some money and that money is 10,000 rupees. Now your gross income is 10,000 rupees. On this 10,000 there will be 10% tax deducted as at source, TDS. So your gross is 10,000 minus 1,000 tax is 9,000. So 9,000 is the net on hand. But before that it is gross, which is before the net, or it's also a subtotal. Clear? So the word is same, the spelling is also same, gross, but the way I pronounce it, the meaning changes. You got to be very careful. So let me give you an example here. The painting looks gross. Okay. So when I have, slide please, when I have gross and I'm pronouncing this as gross, that means it's dirty. Let me remove this. This will be easier. Okay. Now when I'm pronouncing this as gross. The gross income was 8,000 rupees. Gross also means big. For example, just a moment. Okay. All right. So let's look at the passage again. So I'm going to read this up again. At this stage of civilization, when many nations are brought into close and vital contact for good and evil, it is essential as never before that their gross ignorance of one another should be diminished, that they begin to understand a little of one another's historical experience and resulting mentality. It is the fault of the English to expect the people of other countries to react as they do to political and international situations. Our genuine goodwill and good intentions are often brought to nothing because we expect other people to be like us. This would be corrected if we knew the history, not necessarily in detail, but in broad outlines of the social and political conditions which have given to each nation its present character. So you see the word character. I have the letter CH and it's pronounced as K. I don't say character, I say it character. One last passage for quick reading. Today, perhaps your only association with the word polio is the Sabin oral vaccine that protects children from the disease. 55 years ago, this was not so. The dreaded disease, which mainly affects the brain and spinal cord, causing stiffening and weakening of muscles, crippling and paralysis. It's paralysis, it's not paralysis, it's paralysis. Paralysis, which is why I am in wheelchair today. If somebody had predicted when I was born that this would happen to me, no one would have believed it. I was seventh child in a family of 4 pairs of brothers and sisters with huge 23-year gap between the first and last. I was so fair and brown haired that I looked more like a foreigner than a Dawood Bohri. I was also considered to be the healthiest of the brood. Okay, so when you have a paragraph like this, it will allow you to practice. So that's all about the consonant sound. You can replay the video on YouTube and practice these words. What we're going to do next is understand the vowel sounds. Now, before we go ahead and talk about vowel sounds, I just want to leave you with the information that we are only going to talk about 3 different kind of vowel sounds: long vowel, short vowel and diphthong. Even though we have triphthong and some more categories, it's not really practical for quick understanding, so we will limit our learning only to these 3. Now, as a part of your practice, what I want you to do is take any of these words which is listed. Say for example, let me just take 2 to 3 words. And I'm going to break this one by one to understand the consonant sounds. The best way to do that is pick a word and identify what are the consonant sounds here. So first one is apartment. Apart, par, r, t, m, n, t. Apartment. So these are the consonant sounds in this word. Next, disagreement, D, S, disagreement. So we have G sound here, then R, disagree, M, N, T, disagreement. Then the last one in this list is dislodge. So it starts with a D sound, D, S, L. Now you see the letter D, but it doesn't mean that the sound exists here. So please don't get confused there. Okay? D, S, L, J. Even though the letter J is absent, but this letter G carries the J sound. Okay? So when you are able to break these, so let me expand it. When you are able to break these into all the consonant sounds which is available in that particular word, you will be able to master, or you will be able to understand how consonant sound works. So apartment, A is a vowel sound, so we left that. Apartment. Disagreement, D, S, G, R, M, N, T. Disagreement. Dislodge. Now this is an amazing example. Dislodge, even though we have the letter D, but we have the sound D only in the beginning. We don't have the letter J, but the G carries the function of J. Likewise, you need to break these words into all the consonant sounds so that you understand it better. So when you have the consonant sound written in front of you, pick any word. While you're talking, it can be a simple word like a pen. For example, phone, computer, table, chair, anything which is around you. So try breaking it down to consonant sound and you will be able to understand and master it. Next session we will talk about vowel sounds. Now when you combine the consonant sound and vowel sound, then you will understand the entire sound structure. Okay? So whatever questions you have, please post on the comment section of the YouTube video that you're watching. You can find it online. And if you have any words where you need my help to pronounce it, please post those words. I would love to take your questions and provide you with the answer. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Good afternoon everyone, welcome to today's session. So we are continuing with the second pillar of oral communication, which is grammar. Yesterday I spoke about the various parts of speech. I gave you examples on noun. So today we're going to talk about pronoun and adjective, adverb and so on and so forth. In the later part of the session, we're going to have the call lines open. So if you're watching this either on YouTube live or Mana TV live, please dial the number. You will see the number little later. So you can call and ask your questions, anything in terms of pronunciation or grammar for English communication. So let's begin. We are talking about pronoun. Like I said, pronoun is a substitute for noun. You can't be using noun again and again. So that's why we have pronouns, which substitutes the noun. So it's a part of speech which is used in a place of noun or noun phrase to avoid repetition. Examples of pronouns: I, you, we, they, he, she, it, me, us, them, him, her, this, those. So sentence as an example: Mohan is tired, he wants to sleep, but I want him to finish the assignment. So instead of using the Mohan name again, for example, if I say Mohan is tired, Mohan wants to sleep, but I want Mohan to finish the assignment, instead of using the name again twice, I can use pronouns, which is he wants to sleep, but I want him to finish the assignment. So when we talk about pronouns, like I said, it replaces the noun or noun phrase, but there is also an aspect of singular and plural. For example, if I'm talking about one person, I can just say him or he or she, but or him or her, he or she, or it. Now, in case if the count is plural, more than one, then it multiplies. So I can't be using him, I can't be using he, she, I'm supposed to use they or them. So let's look at some quick tests to understand how to use it. The first question, Hari's mom asked Dash to clean the garage. So Hari's mom asked he to clean the garage or him. So obviously the correct answer is him. Hari's mom asked him to clean the garage. It's not garage, it's garage. A student at an all-boys high school should be on Dash best behavior. Now here there is an element of subject-verb agreement. The student, here it says a student, right? Now a student is singular. So a student in all boys high school. So the all boys high school, the entire school has only boys, but the subject here is one student. So a student at an all boys high school should be on his best behavior. So it's there. THERE is also there. THEIR is also there. Let me quickly clarify this. A lot of people do not understand and they interchange this. Okay. So there THEIR is a possession noun. There is a preposition. So please do not get confused here. Both are pronounced the same way. For example, let me zoom this. Please keep the book there. Okay. So there is basically a particular place. So that's why it's a preposition. Now when I say there is THEIR, that's a possession noun. The group will arrive at 8 p.m. And they will make their arrangement. Whose arrangement? Their arrangement. So THEIR is a possession noun. THERE is a preposition. So don't get confused there. So a student at an all boys high school should be on his best behavior. Neither Mary nor Dash knew why the store was closed. Now whenever you have neither Mary, it should be nor I. Now here is an important element which you need to understand. In case if I am talking about more than one person, that includes me as well. So I as a first person. So here is an example. So if I am talking about 2-3 people or even 2 people, and that includes me in the list, we always make a mistake. We put ourselves in first, or we use ourselves first person as I. For example, Harsha, Subhash and me went for shopping. Now that sentence is incorrect grammatically. Let me show you why it is incorrect. This is how people usually speak, right? Now there is a fundamental grammatical mistake here. So basically I'm talking about 3 people here, Harsha, Subhash and me, that is the first person. So Harsha, Subhash and me went for shopping. Now imagine if these 2 gentlemen are not in the list. Can I say me went for shopping? No, that's incorrect. Another way of making a mistake where people usually use this. Me, Harsha and Subhash went for shopping. Now, here again, if I remove these two gentlemen, it still becomes me went for shopping, which means this is incorrect. So what am I supposed to do? The correct form is I went for shopping. Now, whenever you are talking about one person, that is yourself, first person, I went for shopping is fine. But in case if I am adding another person, even one or two, so it becomes Subhash and I went for shopping, or I can add more number of people, Harsha, Subhash and I went for shopping. So whenever you're talking about yourself in a group and you have to specifically mention the persons as well as yourself, you will always, or the first person will always be in the end. Okay? So here, neither Mary nor I knew why the store was closed. I can't say me knew why the store was closed. No, the correct form is I knew why the store was closed. That's why I is the correct option here. Next, after the training, you and dash must discuss a few things. Again, same situation. After the training, you and I must discuss a few things. Alright. Now, moving on to adjective. Now, every noun, when it gets qualified, when I'm adding a quality or a type to a noun, that is basically adjective as a part of speech. So, an adjective describes, modifies or gives more information about a noun or pronoun as well, because pronoun is a substitute for noun. Examples: big, happy, green, young, fun, crazy, tree, all these are adjective. For example, the little girl had a pink hat. Now the girl is noun. So let me take this example. Okay. I hope you can see that's blue. Okay. So the blue is nothing but your noun. The little girl had a pink hat. Now if I remove this, the girl had a hat, but what kind of hat? Pink hat. What kind of girl? The little girl. So anything that is adding quality, that is describing or modifying the noun or pronoun is adjective. Now there are different types of adjective which you need to know. Something that adds quality, for example, dangerous chemicals, green vegetables, a square box, quantity as well. So not just quality but also quantity. He has eaten 3 apples. I don't have much money. This long, thin centipede has many legs. So long, thin is also an adjective here. Demonstrative, something that is displaying or demonstrating. This red balloon is mine and those 3 yellow ones are yours. This cute baby is his brother. That cute baby is his sister. So anything that is denoting something is also an adjective. Now adjective in terms of singular and plural also you need to know. For example, my will become our, your will remain same, his, her, its. Remember I spoke about the possessions. So that's a possessive noun for adjective. Now here are some more examples to quickly test your knowledge. I dash a new bike yesterday. Please make a note of this question. Think and tell me what is the correct answer. I bought a new bike yesterday. So the correct answer is A. If you don't hurry up now, you dash late for school. Question number 2. If you don't hurry up now, you dash late for school. You have been, you are, you will be. Okay, the correct answer is C, you will be. If you don't hurry up now, you will be late for school. Number 3, I would spend my holidays in London if I dash enough money. I would spend my holiday in London if I had. Now, if you already have, then you will be in London. Had because you actually don't have. If I had enough money. Number 4, they dash water sports. They are not, they like not, they do not like water sports. The correct answer is C, they do not like water sports. I dash for shopping tomorrow. I will be going for shopping tomorrow. I will go for shopping tomorrow. I went for shopping tomorrow. Now, this is a matter of tense. Here, went is past tense. So, went is past tense of go. Now, tomorrow is future. So, I can't use C. A is a continuous form. I need not use that. So, B is a definite form. I will go for shopping tomorrow. Ram and his team, that's number 6. Ram and his team dash recently won a tournament. To answer this question correctly, you need to understand something called, now let me quickly explain this to you. I'm not sure how many of you have heard this particular term. Subject verb agreement. Now, what do we mean by subject verb agreement? Let me quickly demonstrate that to you. I'm going to switch over to another aspect, which is subject verb agreement. Let me see if I have created some kind of okay, here we go. So we are talking about subject verb agreement. This is because the subject should always be in sync with verb. What I mean by this, if the subject is singular, I need to use a singular verb. If the subject is plural, I need to use a plural verb. Now, as simple as it sounds, we always make a mistake. So, the reason I put the Superman symbol, in case if you have he, she, it or any of singular form of verb, the singular form of subject, you will use a singular form of verb. What do I mean by this? See here, the players and the umpire is or are tired. Okay, the second sentence is the players or the umpire is or are tired. So, what do we need to do here? Now, when I'm using and, I'm combining two singular forms. That becomes plural. So, I will use the plural form of verb. Now, how do I identify what is singular form of verb and plural form of word? Let me quickly demonstrate that to you. So, if you want to use a singular verb, add S. At the end of the verb. Okay. Example, plays, works, sings. Now, in case if I have to use the plural form, now when I have to use a plural form, if I have to use plural form, drop the S at the end of the verb, which means if I have to talk about the same examples, I will remove the S at the end of the verb. So remember it that way. If it's a singular verb, add S. If it's plural verb, drop the S. So in case if your subject is singular, use S at the end of the verb. If the subject is plural, drop the S at the end of the verb. Okay? Let me show you some examples to help you understand this better. I'm going to use all singular verbs here. He plays cricket. She sings very well. It rains every evening. So if you pay attention to the verbs here, action, I am adding an S at the end of it because my subject is singular. Now if I have to use a plural verb, plural subject, they play cricket. They, or for example, she is singing very well. Now that my subject is plural, I just say they are singing very well because are is a plural form of is. It rains every day. Now there cannot be a situation in terms of a climate for plurality, so we'll leave it at that. Okay? So when you have a situation like this where you are bound to get confused, the players and umpire is tired or are tired, it should be are tired. That's because when I'm using and, I'm combining these two. Even if it's player and umpire, I'm combining. But in the second case, this is where you will get confused. The players or the umpire is tired or are tired. Here you will use is tired because this is an or situation. So if it is or, after the or, the subject, the closest subject is umpire, which is singular form. And if I have a singular subject, I will use singular verb. Okay? So when we look at some more questions, you will be able to identify more such situation. Now when you see a question, you will be able to identify what should be the correct answer. Alright? So let's move on. Let's look at this question again. Number 6. Ram and his team dash recently won a tournament. Now this is a trick question because Ram is part of the team and team is a collective form, it just won. Ram and his team have recently won? No. Ram and his team has, because it's a singular form. The subject is singular, so I'll use has. Number 7, please make a note of this question. They dash put in all the hard work for the success of the team. They dash put in all the hard work for the success of the team. Now they is a plural form. Now if I have a plural form, I will use plural verb. What is the rule? Drop the S. So I have this particular verb which doesn't have an S. So I will use they have put in all the hard work for the team. Number 8, I think we dash the training session next quarter. Now next quarter means it's in the future. I think we dash the next session, the training session next quarter. I think we begin. No, we will begin the training session next quarter. We are beginning. No, that's not the right form. We are going to begin. That is again a incorrect form because it's a transliteration. So we will begin the training session next quarter. Tomorrow we dash at 2 p.m. Tomorrow we will meet. We meet. We are going to meet. We are meeting. So number 9, this is very easy. So look at the question and think what is the correct answer. Tomorrow we will meet at 2 p.m. So A. Could you please dash me some money? Could you please borrow me or lend me? Borrow means take from me. Lend means give me. So could you please lend me some money? Number 11. I don't mind dash if you are tired. I don't mind to drive. I don't mind driving. I don't mind to be driving. I don't mind drive. So number 11, look at it, think and answer. I don't mind driving if you are tired. So option B. They arrived dash we were having dinner. They arrived while we were having dinner, when we were having dinner, during we were having dinner, for we were having dinner. So number 12, think what is the correct answer, and meanwhile you will see the number flash on your screen, 040-2354-0326, or the toll-free number 1-800-425-4039. If you have any questions about the portions that's been completed so far, which is pronunciation and a little aspects of grammar, if you have any questions, please call and ask your question. I will provide you the answer. Alright, so let's continue with number 12. They arrived while we were having dinner. So A is the correct answer. Number 13, they have sold dash car which they won in a lottery. They have sold dash car which they won in a lottery. T-H-E-R-E there, T-H-E-I-R there. This is fairly easy. I just spoke about difference between preposition and possession noun or pronoun. But here it's a trick question. The correct answer is C. In this case, they have won the car in the lottery. So denotively speaking, C is the correct answer. They have sold the car which they won in a lottery. Number 14, I dash worked for this company since 1998. I worked, I am working, I work, I have worked. Now to answer this question, we need to understand something fundamental. Now let me explain. This is one mistake where a lot of us get confused or make a mistake. From versus since. Okay, this is a preposition in terms of time. If I'm using from, I should be using from when I have specifics on when did it start and when did it end. Okay, I will use since when the stated time continues. What do I mean by this? Let me show you an example. I lived in Bangalore from 2004 till 2006, which means it has ended. So I can use the word from. If I have to continue in the same way, I am living in Hyderabad since 10 years, which means I am still living there, which means the time is still continuing. Okay? So question number 14, when you look at it, I dash for this company since 1998, which means I am still working there. So the correct answer is B. I am working for this company since 98. Number 15, she dashed me to help her develop an IT training program. She has asked, she have asked. Can I use have? I just spoke about subject verb agreement, right? I can't use have because she is a singular form. She has asked me to help her to develop an IT training program. So option A. So verb types, verb is action. It signals an action, an occurrence, or a state of being, whether mental, physical, or mechanical. Verb always expresses activity, right? Anything in terms of action. Verbs in English have 4 basic parts. Now pay attention. The base form, the ing form, which is a continuous form, the past tense form, the past participle. Now something that you need to remember, we have studied all this in our school, right? We went through basic grammar in our school days, but we don't really remember the rules, but we only remember the usage. Look at it this way. There is something that has already happened, which is past. There is something which is present, a perfect present or continuous form. For example, I am talking, which means it's going on right now. Or I will talk tomorrow, that's a future tense. I spoke yesterday, and that is past tense. Any action that we are talking about, that action has to be relative to a time. Has it happened? Is it happening now? Or will it happen in the future? Okay? So keep that in mind in terms of these aspects. A verb has to be in sync with tense. Let's look at some examples. The lines are still open, so please do call. It starts with an expression, hi, I dash you in a long time. How have you been? I was seen, I saw, I haven't seen, I hadn't seen. So think and answer. What is the correct answer for question number 1? Option C is the correct answer. Hi, I haven't seen you in a long time. How have you been? Number 2, yesterday I dashed to see my grandparents. Yesterday is a past tense, so I need to use an option which is past. Yesterday I have gone. Yesterday I gone. No. Yesterday I went to see my grandparents. Number 3, some people say that it is better to dash for today. Better to, this is a proverb, right? It's a saying. Better to is living, better to living, better to lives, better to live. It's better to live for today. Have you ever dashed to Canada? Now have you ever basically means, it's a past tense. Have you ever been to Canada? Being is a state. Been means if there was an action involved there. Albert doesn't like dash on weekends. Albert doesn't like working. Albert doesn't like to work. Albert doesn't like work. Now doesn't like work Doesn't make sense. So our answer 1 and 2 are correct. So option D is perfect. He occasionally is a headache in the morning. He occasionally should be a headache in the morning. He occasionally might be, could be. Now this is in terms of an adjective. So all of the above are correct. So we have various such questions. You can look up simple tests online as well. You will find tons of questions. The best way to learn is to test yourself and find what is the correct answer. We cannot learn grammar in terms of rules anymore. We already learned it, but we don't remember because we don't use it. So if you remember it in terms of usage, if you keep practicing, if you keep testing yourself, that will help you remember for a long time. So grammar is something which is extensive, but you need to put yourself in use. I cannot teach you in a classroom environment. Even when the lines are open, nobody is actually calling and asking questions. So I don't know what seems to be wrong there. So in the next session, that is on Monday, I'll move on to verbal ability, where we will look at certain instances, how to solve certain questions in certain situations. If you have questions, please post your questions on the YouTube channel. I'll take a look and provide you the answer. And thanks for tuning in. Make the best use of your day. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session. I hope you had a great festival back home. So we are talking about communication skills as a part of the ESC program, the Employability Skills Center program. Now this program is getting beamed across the state of Andhra Pradesh. You can either watch it on the satellite television, Mana TV, as well as the YouTube channel of Mana TV. You can watch it live on YouTube. And in case if you have missed, you can look it up in the playlist of Mana TV and you can watch the program and pose your questions. Now, this program, as a part of the initiative of AP State Skill Development Corporation, is meant to bridge the gap between what the students have in terms of the skills and competencies and what the industry is looking for. And one very essential and critical aspect of that is communication skills. So I had been speaking about communication, where I spoke about the 4 fundamental pillars of oral communication. I am on the first pillar, which is pronunciation. Today we'll talk about the last segment of pronunciation, and then we'll move on to grammar. As the first segment of pronunciation, we learnt the sounds. We learned how there are 24 consonant sounds and 15 vowel sounds, how they are different from vowels and consonants. We have 21 consonants and 5 vowels, but we have 24 consonant sound and 15 vowel sounds. Now the importance of this vowel sound, I had been talking about in detail, the importance of consonant sound, vowel sound, everything in detail. The last session we did some practice around words, how to break it into syllables, how to break it into consonant and vowel sounds, and today we'll look it up in detail when it comes to syllable. And we'll also learn something new, which is syllable stress. So syllable is a beat of a sound, like I explained in the last segment, a unit of pronunciation carrying one vowel sound with or without surrounding consonants, forming the whole or part of word. So what I mean to say is, when it says pronunciation carrying one vowel sound, which means every vowel sound will constitute a particular syllable. So number of vowel sound is equivalent to number of syllable. Please do not confuse that with vowels itself. It's vowel sound. Let me show you an example and that will help you understand. Let me expand this a little bit so that you can see it clearly. All right. Take for example, I have a word which is country. Okay. All right. Now, how many consonants do I have? I am only talking about consonants and not consonant sounds. So I have C, N, T, R, Y. So C, N, T, R, Y, these are consonants. And vowels, I have O and U. Now, let's look at how many consonants. So we have K, N, T, R. Country. We have just 4 consonant sounds. And how many vowel sounds you have? We have K. Then we have E. Country. So number of vowel sound will define number of syllable. So how do I break it into syllable? If I have to break this word, country. Okay. Now I may have a word where there are multiple or say more number of vowels but less number of vowel sounds. Let's quickly look at one such example. Okay, I have the word photography here. It's actually pronounced as photography. Now, how many consonants do I have here? I have P, H, T, G, R, A, P, H, Y. These are the consonants. What are the vowels? I have O, then I have O again, then I have A. So O, O, A. Okay. Now if I have to break it into syllables, I pronounce this as pho, to, gra, phi. How many syllables do I have? I have 4 syllables. But I have only 3 vowels. So number of vowels doesn't signify number of syllable. Number of vowel sound signify number of syllable. So let's see how many vowel sounds do we have. So I need to break it into all the sounds. It starts with the first sound, pho. It's photo, photo, g, r, a, f, e. Okay, it's photography. Photography. So how many vowel sounds do I have? 1, 2, 3 and 4. So photography. Please remember, this is where most of us make mistakes. Vowel sounds are equivalent to number of syllables. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Photography. When you master this entire art of understanding consonant sound vis-a-vis understanding vowel sounds, and when you combine that in terms of syllable, your pronunciation will be absolutely perfect. The reason people fail to understand when somebody else is speaking is because of 2 to 3 reasons. One is you do not have the right pronunciation. One word may sound like something else, and we make a mistake in terms of comprehension. Grammatically, you may not be saying the right thing, and again in terms of tense, in terms of verb, singular, plural, you make a mistake and it conveys a different meaning. you may not be using the right word in terms of vocabulary. When I talk about vocabulary, I'll give you a lot of examples where we end up using wrong words without understanding the context. And then we have fluency. Now, fluency will come when you have the right pronunciation, right grammar, and the right vocabulary. Okay, let's continue. So we looked at example. So pen has one syllable, pen. Then we have pencil, two syllables. Then we have computer, three syllables. And then we have technology. Now how do I pronounce this? Technology. It's technology. And there are four syllables here. Okay. The point that I was making in terms of the last session was there are certain words which has pretty much the same pronunciation. Some of the word may have the same spelling, but it needs to be pronounced differently, and that is what it denotes differently in terms of parts of speech and in terms of context. Let me give you an example that will help you understand. We have a word which is project. I gave this example earlier as well. I can use this on a sentence, and it says please project the presentation on the screen. It's not in the screen, it's on the screen. I can either use this particular sentence. Let me change the color so that you can understand that this is an example. Or I can say, please now this particular word is common between both the sentences, right? This is what we are talking about. Now, when I'm using the first sentence, I'm supposed to pronounce this with a stress where I say project. This is the word, but I need to stress on the second syllable. There are two syllables, right? But I need to stress on the second syllable. When I do that, it means it's a verb. Now that's a rule of pronunciation. When I'm stressing on the second syllable, it's a verb. Okay? When I'm stressing on the first syllable, say for example, I'm stressing on this particular syllable, the first syllable, which is pro, that becomes a noun. This particular rule applies to every word which is spelt the same, but the shift of stress, I can either stress on the first syllable or the second syllable. So let me move this down so that we have the second example as the first one. So when I'm stressing on the first syllable, it becomes a noun. That means, please submit the project. I say project. This is project. Here I say, please project the presentation. Here I say, please submit the project. So when I say project, that becomes a noun. When I say project, that becomes a verb. So when you're shifting it, and there is a change in terms of the vowel sound as well. When I say project, I'm using per, r, and o, project. When I say project, I'm using per, r, o. So when I have project, it's an o sound. When I have project, I have an o sound. But the bigger aspect which you need to understand is the stress on which syllable. Like project and project, there are other examples. For example, subject. Okay, I'm going to move this down so that I can use the noun as the first example. So let me use the example. Biology is an interesting subject. I am stressing on the first syllable. So I say biology is an interesting subject. I am stressing on the first syllable. Okay. Now, I am using another example. Please don't subject the students to any tests. So here my stress has moved to the second syllable. For example, when I say the exam is scheduled at 4 o'clock, the timings is subject to change depending on the circumstances. So that becomes a verb. Okay. Likewise, there are tons of such words where the shift in the sound will lead to change in the meaning. It could mean a noun, it could mean a verb. All right. Now, one word where a lot of us make mistake, where we do not have complete clarity, is this particular word. Okay. Now, let me get rid of this example here. Let me explain what are the two different types of pronunciation. I can pronounce this as now first of all there are two syllables, right? All right. Now I can either pronounce this as k or n, then tent. I can either pronounce this as content or I can pronounce this as content. So content, content. We don't really understand what to be used where. That is where we make a mistake. Now, when we pronounce this as content, the meaning it means an ingredient or index. For example, please give me the content for the training. Okay. Now, when I say content, let me change the color here. Now, when I say content, this means being happy. For example, are you content with the training? Okay. Now, that makes a big difference, right? So, we have the word content. I break it into two syllables. When I pronounce this as content, it means ingredient or index. When I pronounce this as that means happiness or being self-satisfied. So these are the aspects that you need to clearly remember when you pronounce the words. Okay. Now, this is what syllable stress is all about. In linguistics, stress is the relative emphasis that may be given to certain syllables in a word. So whenever you are stressing on a particular syllable, that means it's syllable stress. Now, there are certain rules to syllable stress. What are they? There's something called penultimate and there is something called anti-penultimate. So I'll talk about anti-penultimate later. What I want you to do is draw this diagram on your notebook to make a note of it. Penultimate means last but one or second last, right? So this is the word ending. What do we mean by word ending? So these are the word endings. There are a lot of English words that will end with any of these. Now when the rule says when a word ends with these as ending, the stress should be on the second last or the last but one syllable. Let me show you an example that will help you understand what do I mean by this. Okay, we are learning about, let me bring this down. Which rule we are looking at? We are looking at penultimate rule. When you have any word that's ending with IC, IOUS, EOUS, SION, TION, the stress should be on the second last syllable. So let's take a quick look at it. Okay. If I have a word which is panic, I will quickly change the format so that you can understand this better. Panic, tragic, magic, any more words that ends with IC? Picnic. Okay. The rule says in case if you have any word that's ending with IC, the stress should be on the last but one syllable. So let's break this. Panic is pa-nick, which means I will stress on pa and it's pronounced as panic. Tragic, tragic, I will stress on tra. Magic, I will stress on ma. Picnic, I will stress on pick. Let me bring this down. Okay. Now what if I have a word which has more than two syllables? Then what happens? Let's take a look at it. Geographic. How many syllables do I have? Ge-o-gra-phic. And the rule says if I have a word ending with IC, I need to stress on the second last syllable. So I'll pronounce this as geographic. If I have another word, photographic, somebody has a photographic memory. So what are the syllable break? It's photographic. And since it's ending with IC, I will stress on gra. So whatever is the word ending, like you saw, look at the word ending and stress on the previous one. So this is the word ending syllable, this is the previous one. Okay, let's look at IOUS now. Examples: pious. Now since this itself is a complete syllable, so it will not apply here. Okay. Conscious. How many syllables do I have? 2. And I will stress on conscious. Okay. Precious. How many syllables again? Precious. I will stress on pre. Same thing applies for EOUS as well. For example, I have a word gorgeous. So gorgeous, 2 syllable, I will stress on gore. SION, tension, pension. So how many syllables in tension? 2. Tension, I will stress on ten. If I have pension, I will stress on pen. So basically wherever I have this particular word ending, I will stress on the previous syllable. Tion, again the same example. Station, so I will stress on stay. If I have more number of syllables, information, first I will break it in information. So where do I stress? I will stress on may. Information. If I have the word question, how many syllables? 2. Question. Alright, and I will stress here, question. Clear? So the rule says if I have a word which is ending with any of these, the stress will be on the previous, the last but one. The second rule is anti-penultimate. Now what do we mean by anti-penultimate? In penultimate we have from the end the second one, anti-penultimate is third one. So the dot has moved, which means it will be the third one from the right. Now what are these sounds? Let's quickly take a look at it. These are the word endings. Alright, so let's take a look at certain words where it ends with cy. For example, policy. How many syllables? 3. Policy. Now here the rule says I need to stress on the third from right, which means I will stress on paw. I just bought an insurance policy. Okay? Ty. What if I have a word which is city, which only has 2 syllables? It will still take the stress on the first one. Okay? ICAL. Geographical. How many syllables do I have? Geographical. Now this fickle is coming up to 2 syllables, right? But this will still be combined as word ending, and this is the stress. Geographical. PHY. My favorite word. Photography. How many syllables? Photography. So this is my ending. I will stress here. Photography. GY. Technology. How many syllables do we have here? Technology. This is the ending. So I leave one, then I go to the next, and I pronounce this as technology. Meter. We all pronounce this as thermometer. Thermometer. It's not thermometer. It's thermometer, right? Now meter is pronounced as meter. It's thermometer. It's not thermometer, it's thermometer. So I will pronounce, or I will stress here, because meter itself has 2 syllables. Clear? So when you work on these aspects of syllable stress, and when you understand these rules, you will be able to not only work on the pronunciation aspect but also on vocabulary. what I want you to do is make a note of these word endings. Number 1, write down as many words as possible you can recollect out of your general knowledge of English communication. For example, I have the word which is ending with IC. Like I said, picnic, traffic, magic, tragic. Likewise, how many words can you think of? Write down those words, then practice the pronunciation. Alright, so these are the word endings. I want you to write at least 15 to 20 words for each word ending. IC, IOUS, EOUS, SION, TION. Then CY, TY, ICAL, PHY, GY, meter. I'm going to pause here so that you can make a note of this. And when you work on these words, that will also become a part of your assignment and you will learn vocabulary as well. Alright, so I hope this was helpful. Now, pronunciation recap, we learnt about communication tree, how we need a language, language broken into sentences, sentences into words, words into sounds. We learnt about consonant sound, we have 24 consonant sound and 15 vowel sound. We also learnt syllable, which is a unit of sound in every word, and syllable stress. So we are done with the first pillar. Now we move on to the second pillar, which is grammar. Now, what do we mean by grammar? It's a system of a language, rules of a language. Now, why do we face problem in terms of grammar? That is because of mother tongue influence. For example, if I'm thinking in a particular language, I do a literal translation to any other language that I'm speaking in. So what happens is the word order gets changed. When the word order is changing, it leads to grammatical issues, it leads to comprehension issues, whoever is hearing you or listening you. So when we are thinking in a language, we cannot directly translate or literally translate to any other language. That it doesn't work like that. For example, I spoke about this particular Telugu word, which is Yendukante. I hear a lot why because. When people talk, they keep using why because, why because, why because. That why because they use because they are using a Telugu word directly translated into English. Please don't do that because it does not make sense, right? Like we ask, what is your good name? Now, there's nothing called a good name or bad name. It's just a name. So this happens because of mother tongue influence, and mother tongue is a language which we learn from childhood, and that is a language in which we are thinking, our subconscious mind. All right. So it leads to a change in word order. It leads to loss of sentence integrity, misinterpretation, and miscommunication. Now we need to understand the parts of speech. I'm going to shift over to another module which I have prepared for you guys. So we just saw that it's a rule of a language. Are there rules in English language? No, in fact, no language has rules, but it's a system that you need to follow. Okay. Now, common issues that we face in terms of grammar, like I said, mother tongue influence. Now, we need to understand the parts of speech. These parts of speech exist in every language. So we have parts of speech. I have written down the parts of speech along with examples. The first one is noun. Noun is name, place, animal, thing. Now, a city name or a person's name is all noun. Then we have pronoun. Pronoun is something that replaces a noun. Instead of using the noun again and again, I can use a pronoun. Adjective is something that qualifies the noun. For example, noun is Ravi, pronoun is he, adjective Ravi is a passionate leader. So what kind of leader? Passionate leader. Verb is anything that is an action. So he is driving his new BMW car. Like adjective qualifies the noun, adverb qualifies the verb. How is he driving? He is driving very fast. Then we have preposition. Preposition, like the word goes, position. So here the position in terms of geography, that means the place, also the time. So basically time and place. Ravi will leave for London at 8 p.m. So whatever you see is underlined in these examples are basically the parts of speech. Interjection, wow, wow, he will fly business class. It's basically an expression. And then you have conjunction, anything that joins two independent sentences or phrases. For example, Ravi and his director will go to UK. It could be Ravi will go to UK and his director will go to UK, but instead of writing that, I can just say Ravi and his director will go to UK. So these are the parts of speech. Now let me explain the types. Common noun, for example, the mountain is too high to climb. Sorry, the mountain is too tough to climb. I'm sorry, I read it incorrectly. So something that is very common in nature, that's common noun. Proper noun are names. Now these names are little complicated because these are pronounced differently in different parts of the world because of regional influence. So New Delhi is a capital city. In Hindi, New Delhi is pronounced as Nai Delhi, right? In English, the country Turkey, so we pronounce that as Turkey. But in different languages, it's pronounced differently. A name of a person can be pronounced differently. For example, the name April, it's a month, right? In French, it's pronounced as Avril. The name Clement is pronounced as Clement in French. So the names are pronounced differently. That's why don't focus on the pronunciation part. These are proper nouns and these has influence of the region. Abstract, something which you can't touch and feel, that's a noun. For example, fear is an obstacle, so fear is an abstract noun. Count, the bottle is filled with water. Anything that you can touch, anything that you can count easily is a count noun. But there is also non-count noun, something which you cannot count. For example, you cannot count oil or water or air, right? Now what do you do in these cases? To count a non-count noun, you need to take the help of count noun. For example, I have water. Now this is non-count noun. Now how do I count it? I need to use a count noun. For example, I have bottle, which is a count noun. In order to measure water or to count water, I need to make use of count noun. For example, please buy 3 bottles of water. Now I can add the number 3, that's because I'm using a count noun here. Alright. Collective noun, something that is in group. For example, the team wants to celebrate. Okay. Now collective noun, you also need to understand the singular and the plural forms. There are certain word which doesn't have a plural form. For example, let me make it simple for you. Since we are talking about collective noun, I should definitely talk about singular and plural forms. The reason I use a PowerPoint because it's easier to display quickly rather than a board. Say for example, I have a word chair and the plural will become chairs, right? If I have computer, I can just say computers. If I have data, can I say datas? No, it remains data. If I say information, it still remains information. If I say furniture, it still remains furniture. So there are a lot of words. which doesn't have a plural form. For example, luggage. Luggage will remain as luggage. For example, this is where a lot of people make a mistake. Hair. It remains hair. If I have the word people, now people itself is a plural form. A lot of people make a mistake. Peoples. I met a lot of peoples. Now people itself is a plural form. You cannot add another s to a plural form. Like child. The plural form of child is children. There cannot be a plural of a plural. It cannot be children's. So please keep that in mind, and you will learn that the more you dig into vocabulary. Okay. So singular, plural, I just gave you the example. She won a lottery for 1 crore. Plural, they are going